Hello everyone and welcome to Poetry Surprises and welcome to London. After my moonshot, I finally took the leap into the great beyond and I arrived in London just a couple of days ago, and now I'm set up and ready to do some recordings. And today's recording, I just want to introduce you to the area around which we've arrived, and we'll start off with a little tour out the back of the flat in London and out the front and see who's out there. So here we are on the first stop of our literary tour of the London flat, and here we're looking north. Now, if you go through that ash tree that's sort of just left of centre, the ash tree's there. If you go through there and across the top of the YMCA, you're heading up towards High Beach. Now, High Beach is a few miles up the road, but it's a very familiar place to me when I was young, because that is exactly where my dad used to take me every Sunday and leave me outside the pub. But it's also the place where John Clare was in an asylum, and I think I referred to that in a Poetry Surprise quite a few weeks ago now, where he left the asylum and walked back to Northampton and actually had to eat grass en route to survive. If we move a little way across, now I'm going to sort of pan round here, and there's the window getting in the way. But there we are. A few hundred yards in that direction is William Morris Gallery, which is William Morris's house when he was young. And William Morris is another sort of influential character on my upbringing, and there are several reasons for that. One is that the actual house itself played an important role in my mother's life, because after William Morris left, it was eventually turned into a dentist's, and she used to go to the dentist there and hated every minute of it. I can assure you, it held nightmare memories for her, and the gas that she used to suffer to get her teeth taken out. More importantly than that, really, is that William Morris fought wholeheartedly for the preservation of Epping Forest, which is, guess where? High Beach, up there. So there are strong links, and of course Morris was such an influential character, and although he's known for his wallpapers today and his arts and crafts movement and founding socialism, he was also a prolific poet, and therefore must have had a strong influence on my formation. And the William Morris Gallery, as it now is and was throughout my time, was always a strangely dark, brooding sort of space, but had a sort of gravity to it which was always present around me. So there's John Clare, William Morris, but now let's move up through the flat, and looking south, that's Gower House over there, not named after the cricketer but after the poet, and if you go in a straight line down there, you come to Stratford. Yes, Stratford, where the Olympics was held. It's also the birthplace of Gerard Manley Hopkins, another sort of seminal figure in so many people's lives, I think, as writers. Gerard Manley Hopkins, born in Stratford. And now we're going to turn round a little bit. Now, in that direction up there, come to Walthamstow Market. Now, Walthamstow Market is famed for being the longest market in the UK, and a place where you can get absolutely anything and everything. But what is interesting is in the 17th century, it was the residence of many sort of landed gentry type folk who had businesses in the City of London, and Samuel Pepys used to visit regularly and comment on the vineyards that belonged to the grand houses in what was then called Marsh Street. One such person was an Admiral Batten, whom he used to visit, and he said Admiral Batten's wines were as good as anything from Bordeaux, which I don't believe. And then if we go down to the bottom of that market, this is perhaps the most fascinating story of all, was where Fanny Keats lived for 10 years. Fanny Keats, the sister of John Keats, the younger sister of John Keats. She was taken into care, as was Keats himself, by a philanthropist family friend named Richard Abbey, who lived in Marsh Street, not far from where Mr. Batten once lived. And he wasn't a liked character by the Keats children. Apparently he was a bit of a self-righteous prig and a bit of a controlling bore. But anyway, he provided some money for John to go to medical college, and he took in Fanny, who was much younger, and she went to a girls' school in Marsh Street, and eventually she lived on the corner of St James Street and Coppermill Lane. And now that's before I moved here when I was 6. That's where I was born. John Keats is recording as having visited on numerous occasions, so he was a frequent visitor to Walthamstow, and he used to walk from Hampstead, where he was staying, because he couldn't afford the fare for the coach. He would come via Tottenham. Now Tottenham is in, it's round the back here, coming back round here. If we go beyond the William Morris Gallery, we come to Tottenham, and so he would have walked by Tottenham Lock and come down Ferry Lane and walked down Blackhorse Road to visit his sister. But 3 fascinating stories: Keats and Clare, and Gerard Manley Hopkins, and William Morris, massively influential, Mr. Pepys, chronicling the life of the mid 17th century, also a regular visitor. So there's a little introduction to the flat in Walthamstow, and now I'm going to read you a poem to finish. So I'd like to finish this introduction to Walthamstow, to London, and to the flat with a short poem taken from none other than the book Shed. For obvious reasons, because this is where the installation took place, just below me. And this is about a character who lived in number 6 Batten House, which is just above me. And so here we go. It's called Derrick's End. Derrick looked after his mum until she died, then started holidaying in Bangkok. Framed photos hung in his living room. His friends. He'd introduce them one by one. If you ever entered number 6. Mum said he was funny and shivered at the mention of his name. Quickly changed to how he loved his car, or Dad would greet him with, "Hello Bob," "All right Fred," or "What's your Dave?" then laugh. But what chilled her most was how he went and died, in his chair watching Sky TV, which she noted he got as soon as it came out. 10 days in front of men and motors, he decomposed above her head. Till coppers battered down the door and medics wrapped him in a bag. From her chair, she looks directly up to where his arse would be. Sees him stiff and cold, his flesh blue about his bones, shrink-wrapped. You have to wonder what he had, she says, then looks away, says no more, and gives a little shiver.